Welcome back to season 2, episode 4. So today we have a very, very special guest and our first woman on this podcast. So welcome back to Feeding Power Podcast. Thank you, Susan, for coming. Joanna, give us some more details on who Susan is, and she's going to be sharing her story with us. I'm excited. Let's get this started.
All right, everyone, thank you again for coming and joining us. Season 2, episode 4. I'm very excited to have Susan Clarke. Thank you so much in advance for being here today. As he mentioned, she's the first woman in our podcast and a very, very powerful and strong woman. So please, Susan, start off, introduce yourself so we can get this party started.
So thank you so much, both of you, for having me. I'm super, super humbled. You know, as you live life, you don't realize that the things that you do and the way that you lived, it inspires people in some way, and they actually want to know your story. Yeah. So it's a little bit surreal sitting here because I'm like, wow, I'm actually going to be sharing my life with the world, but it's exciting. Yeah. So thank you for that. I am one of the top agents at Home Possible. Realty.
Let's go.
Yep, in Westbury. I have a team. We are the top producing team at that brokerage. Awesome. I've been doing real estate since 2018. I was licensed in 2016.
Okay.
And became a top producer pretty quickly at my previous brokerage, and saw a prime opportunity to integrate my business with the loan aspect by marrying, the marriage between Cliffco Mortgage and Home Possible Realty. As a result, I ended up moving over there, and it's been a match made in heaven. So I'm super, super excited about being there, growing my business, which has grown significantly in the last couple of years. I grew it 4 times between 2019 and 2020. Wow. By the end of this year, I probably have grown it 6 times from the previous year. So humbled to be here, and thank you both.
Well, thank you so much for coming here. And Susan, so for the people that don't know you, like, what got you started? Like, tell us about, let's backtrack a little bit. Tell us about your story, where you come from, and how you got into real estate, and share with us.
All right, so to start off, I don't like salespeople. Never have, and I think that's why, to some extent, I gravitated towards real estate. But I'll start with the nitty gritty. My story is a little bit bittersweet. So I am a 2-time Columbia University graduate. Wow. I graduated top 5 from my high school, Clara Barton High School in Brooklyn. What's up? Yeah. So I'm from East Flatbush in Brooklyn, representing for Brooklyn, and graduated in the top 5, got a full scholarship to Columbia University, Ivy League University. Went there for undergrad, and then went back for grad school. So I like to leverage that because I do think having a great education has been a leveraging tool in this industry, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But the nitty-gritty has been, statistically speaking, the odds of me getting out of Brooklyn when I grew up in the 80s, either pregnant, imprisoned, on drugs, were very slim. Then I ended up going to Colombia, and my goal was, I come from a Caribbean family. My family's from Jamaica, West Indies. Yeah. The thought was, if you're smart, like, you should become a doctor or a lawyer. It just made the most sense. So I wanted to make sure I made my parents proud. So when I went to Colombia, I was on track to go to medical school to become a heart surgeon.
Okay.
So how'd you go from a heart surgeon
that
to
normal? Like,
I'm
just gonna become a heart surgeon.
Well, it was really, I was doing a program at NYU Medical School, working with cadavers, seeing a lot of sick people, and quite honestly, for me, I'm an empath. Yeah. And by an empath, I mean, I identify with people's struggles, so I really didn't like the blood and gore. I just didn't feel like that was the right arena for me. So, but also I felt like I had my family's legacy was on my shoulders. Yeah. So I said, okay, I'm going to go the track of law school, not medical school, law school. Didn't really like that. I must found it boring. I became a high school English teacher in the Bronx. And if anything will get you into some action, it's being a high school teacher in the Bronx. So I did that for a very long time. Really enjoyed that. Loved working with kids, but I didn't like the bureaucracy of the Board of Education. By nature, I'm type A. I consider myself an overachiever. Some people may call me anal retentive, but it's got me where I am, so I'll take it. So I left teaching. I was on track to become a principal. I left that behind, and then my mom, and I became an executive in the fashion industry. My mom was an unbelievably talented fashion designer, and I just kind of gravitated towards that. But I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie Devil Wears Prada. Yes. Working in the fashion industry, watch it.
I haven't watched it, but I gotta watch it.
They say it's a comedy, but it's more like a horror movie. But I was in the fashion industry for several years as an executive, and then my mom ended up getting brain cancer back in 2015. It was really unexpected. my mom was never like a poor eater, unhealthy person. So getting brain cancer took us by storm. Literally, my mom was in her house one day and I got a call coming home from work. My brother's like, I think mommy's having a stroke. We don't know what's going on. Like, she can't talk. She's trying to talk, but her words aren't making sense. Yeah. Literally, I made a beeline. She lived in New Jersey. I lived in and I lived in Queens. I made a beeline to her house. Found out within a couple days of her being in the hospital that she had a tumor the size of a golf ball in her brain. No inclination. There was brain cancer is one of those kind of things that it doesn't necessarily give a lot of signs. You don't have pain. It just all of a sudden it erupted. And within a few days, they biopsied the tumor, found out it was stage 4 brain cancer. So my life got turned upside down, and shook. Wow. Like, I went from working in the fashion industry. My mom didn't have medical coverage at the time. Wow. So trying to get her Obamacare, trying to work a full-time job, trying to figure out how we're going to help take care of her. She was working a full-time job. That came to suspended completely. And things kind of spiraled downward from there. My mom was married to my stepdad. The relationship wasn't a good one, so we had to get him out of the picture. And I moved in and started taking care of her. I took care of her for 8 months before she passed. Wow. That made me start reanalyzing life, because I was like, watching mortality, coming in brushes with death with someone that was my best friend, made me rethink, like, what do I want to do in my life? Like, I'm kind of hopping around careers, and I've just kind of not been giving priority to what, like, direction I want to go in.
You're just too good at everything, so you didn't know what to choose.
Exactly. Exactly. And what happened for me is, to be quite frank, is in the process of taking care of my mom, I wasn't a good steward of my money. I'm just going to keep it real. You think about getting up every day, living life. I spent when I wanted to. I did what I wanted to. And here, my mom's mortality put life to a halt. I had ended up leaving my job, moving in with her in New Jersey. And the time I lived with her, I couldn't pay my rent. Like, by the time I started spending on everything, I remember my mom ended up getting a colostomy bag. And I literally was cleaning her. And my landlord called me, and he's like, listen, I told my mom, lie down, took my gloves off, answered the phone, and he's like, I have to evict you. And my response, instead of being mad, I was like, thank you. And he was like, thank you. I said, because you let me stay here this long. Like, I expected my eviction to come 2 months in. So, and also while I was taking care of my mom, I was in an abusive relationship. So you think, okay, I'm highly educated on one end, and I'm in an utterly abusive relationship, and my mom is dying. So my world, I was like in a whirlwind of turmoil. And then my mom ended up passing, and in the process of her being sick, I got my real estate license. I want to thank my brother, Sheldon Clarke, who was the one that told me one day.
Shout out to Sheldon.
Shout out to Sheldon. My baby brother, who told me, he's a lender as well, and he told me, get your real estate license. I think you'll do well. And I just didn't like real estate agents. And you also kind of feel like, quote unquote, like, oh, I have my Ivy League degrees, but I'm a real estate agent. Like, it just seemed like it was just such a dichotomy. So I ended up getting, my mom ended up passing away. I remember the night she passed away, I went home and I had no lights on in my house. It was that bad. Like, I went home to no lights. So I had all these cards people had given me from her passing. When I got to my house, it was freezing. It was March. It was a really cold March day. There was March 2nd that she had passed. When her funeral took place, it was around the 9th or 10th. And I went home and no lights and gas. I couldn't even read and I just sat there and cried for about 6 hours. And I told myself, I said, this has got to stop. Like, I've got to make changes. And I was taking, I don't know if you go to Ed Escobar with Sweat Hogs. He teaches training class back in the day, back in about 2000. It was 2017, called Sweat Hogs. I took his class, and I remember he was offering the class. It was every Friday. So I would get someone to take care of my mom so I could go to the class. And my brother and I specifically planned my mom's funeral on a Thursday so I could make the class on Friday. So she passed away. I got up the next day, tears stained. I couldn't even look in the mirror, and went to the class. And I remember Ed Escobar saying to me that he really commended me for showing up to the class. And to me, that started my journey to say, I got to change my life. And I figured it's real estate or death. That's the decision. I was like, life's hard.
Wow, real estate or death.
Real estate is easy. I was like, there's no way real estate could be harder than the world I'm living in. 100%. And I just literally, for me, it's real estate or death. And I've taken that attitude since starting real estate, and I've not looked back.
Wow,
That's amazing.
That's crazy. So now, and you know, especially if you from you like having so many degrees, right, and taking a real estate course, like, you know, no offense to anybody out there, but like a real estate course is what 75 hours.
Yeah,
you just take the test and anyone can, you know, anyone can get licensed, right?
Right.
Which is like the easiest part of being a real estate agent, but the hardest part is. You know, you getting up, taking that class after everything you've been through, and you know, having you know, not even the guts, I would say, more of like just that, you know, energy and power to go and, you know, change your life, and that's inspiring for, you know, a lot of people out there, you know.
It's very inspiring because you just said the second day you were already in class. It was like real estate or death, and a lot of people, you know, it's just nature that we have something so bad going on that we could become victims to that. And then we build a victim mindset. Well, I can't because, and it's really tough when everyone just is okay and expects you to be down. Yeah. And it's okay because you're going through things.
So true.
But, you know, you could be like, okay, everyone's going to understand me. Yeah. You know, I'm going to be in the streets homeless. People are going to understand me because I'm going through this. But instead you were like, no, I'm going to define the situation and I'm going to turn it around.
Absolutely. And I remember the day after my mom's funeral, I was in the class. It was called Sweat Hogs, and you know, it was just like an intro class for agents, like an agent boot camp on the practical aspects of the business. And I just had a breakdown. Like my mom just passed, and I said to myself, "What are you doing here? Like you shouldn't be here right now. Like what are you doing?" And I remember going in the bathroom and crouching down on the floor in the bathroom of the class and having a full breakdown. And my brother, I had to call my brother on the phone. I was having a panic attack. Like my mom just passed. It just seemed unreal to me because I just kind of was going through the motions, crying the night before getting up. And my brother's like, pull it together. You can do this. Like, you got it. Get it together. And I pulled it together, and I was like, in my mind, you know, looking back now, I wish at the time I could say, well, when I was down on the ground, leaning against the porcelain, I came to the understanding. It wasn't. I was just like, get up and show up. You know, at the time I was like, and then I just realized in hindsight, because a lot of my success has had to do with looking in the rear view mirror. I'm not necessarily saying, while I'm going through it, I'm getting all of these revelations and epiphanies. Even running my business now, sometimes I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
No, I agree.
You know, let me just try it. And then in hindsight, when I look in the rear view mirror, like, wow, that worked out. I'm 3 or 4 miles ahead. So looking back now, I understood it was just showing up. Like sometimes success is about just showing up and doing what most people won't do.
100%.
Because I don't like the average agent is. I feel insulted when I see something about the average agent anywhere. So I'm like, okay, if the average agent is this, then you're not going to be that. Like, take that and multiply it by 20.
100%.
Because I'm not going to perfect it anyway. I'm not going to get to the times 20. I'll probably get to times 15, and I'm going to beat the average.
But why not get to the times 20? You can. With
That's
all that
true.
energy, you can. And that's the thing,
true.
you know. It's just about pushing yourself, right? Because a lot of things, like, especially so, you know, something that I learned, especially in this business, anybody can grow. But the thing is, a lot of people, right, what happens is, like, you took advantage of your opportunity. Pretty much you said, okay, I'm showing up. I'm going to do what it takes to be where I have to. Like, that just changed. You wanted that change.
Absolutely.
But you know why people don't succeed in this business? Because they don't want change. They just want to be, they want the title. They want the title of being a real estate agent. They want the title of being a professional. But they don't want that change. And that you had that. You had the change. You had the work ethic, and that's what put you above everybody else, and that's why you're here now. You know?
Yeah, and you know, and that could go inside of a Snapple bottle, because what you just said is an absolute fact. I think very often, for me, my motto has always been two things that I've been living by with real estate, and it's very simple for me, is, well, actually more than two things. For one, I always want to make my mom proud. So, you know, I named the team after my mom, and I can talk a little bit about that. But one of the things that's really important to me is do what most agents won't do to have what most agents won't have. Like, whatever the average agent, wherever all the lemmings are going, wherever everyone's going off the cliff in one direction, I'm going to move in the other direction, 100%. And real estate or death. So to me, that's why, for me, how I became a top agent was strictly from cold calling. 99% of my business was strictly from cold calling. And in the beginning, I had no training. Why did I choose the phones over anything? Calling referral, you know, calling past clients, friends, or family. Because I knew that most agents were afraid of the phone.
100%.
And I was like, listen, my life is a lot harder than what anyone says to me on the phone. I'm just going to go for broke. And that's how I became a top agent.
Are you still scared of the phone now?
No.
Actually, one of the quotes that I still remember when, you know, we had this meeting, and it was a Monday, and my first thought was like, who has meetings on Mondays? It's the busiest days
Yeah.
for us, the lenders. Busiest
Right.
days, people are like calling for those approvals.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, forgot it. So much going on. And then I'm like, who does a meeting on a Monday? I'm there like this, and like everyone says, my energy is always on point. I'm like, I need things to do. And then Susan comes in and she just like smacks me across like, and like your story again. And one of the quotes I remember is, if you know how to hunt, you will never starve. So to this day, I know that you still go ahead and get on that call and you do those cold
I can't believe you even remembered that. Yeah. So for me, I feel like if you can hunt, you'll always eat. And I'm not knocking any agents who get business from referrals, right? Because referrals have a good place.
100%.
I mean, now I get referrals. I've been doing real estate a little bit over 2 years. But the thing that has always stood out to me is that if I'm waiting to get referrals, I'm not really in control of my business, right?
Not.
Yeah.
And think about it, like, what's better than call calling? It's free leads. Literally, all you have to do is pick up the phone, make that call. If they say no, okay, have a good day. And if you still need my services, I'm here.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, and I do it too. It works for my business because at the end of the day, last week I made a call. It was like 8:40 in the night, and it was I was like, last call, I'm gonna go to sleep.
You're a beast.
Right?
8:40 at night.
Listen, I just wanted to make the last call, so we made the last call, and it was a lady. She's like, oh yeah, how'd you get my number? I was like, oh no, I told her where I got it from. And it's shout out to the neighbor, because the neighbor was the one who told me that she wanted to sell her house, but she'd been having issues. So what happened was her listing had already expired twice. I'm like, why is your listing expired? It's a nice high ranch. It should be selling like within 2 days. So I immediately got the listing appointment right the next day.
Nice.
Like, just from one call. But if I would have sat my ass off at home, not making the calls, maybe I would have never got to her, or maybe I would have never had that listing appointment. Which now it's a 50-50 that I was going to get the listing appointment. So even just one call can change the way you do, do business, or just the business that you get. And, a lot of people, like you said, they're scared of the phone, and that's the fear that, you got to kind of get over it.
Exactly. And to be afraid of the phones, honestly, is selfish. I'll tell you why. Because very often people need good agents who can come in and sort things through. I've been on the phone and cold called people who were in tears, saying, I'm so glad you called. Like, I didn't know what to do. And for me to sit around and think, because somebody, said the F-bomb, dropped an F-bomb, I don't really care. Sometimes I've been on the phone cold calling and somebody like starts cursing. I'm like, are you done? I was like, excuse me, are you finished? And they're like, I'm like, why are you so mad? I'm just calling about your house. I've even had people call me back to apologize. Like, I'm sorry I was rude to you. Because we're, hurting people hurt people. We're all humans. Cold calling people, I'm always about just being relatable. Just, being empathetic. It's not about me when I'm cold calling. It's about who I'm calling. You're triaging. That's right. I get on the phone. I mean, the first time I started cold calling, to be very honest with you, I was horrible. Within the first, that moment.
How was your experience getting through rejections at the beginning, especially you were going through hard times? So the last thing you want someone to tell you, can you, like block me, don't want to hear your voice, whatever the case is. How did you go through that rejection, or how did you take it when you started cold calling?
This is going to sound really crazy, but actually cold calling was a reprieve, because my real life was so horrible that it gave me a moment to stop thinking about myself, because I needed to help somebody else. So I enjoyed cold calling because I wasn't thinking about myself, but I didn't know what I was doing. So when people were rude to me, or I would just hang up before they hung up. Like, I was calling people, and I would just hang up on them before they hung up on me. Geez. They weren't calling me back. They didn't care about me until I developed the expertise. But sometimes it was just nice to just talk to people. It was just, I was stepping out of myself to help someone. And that was the power for me, because my real life, the minute I hung up the phone, my life was horrible. I missed my mom. I was grieving. And it just gave me a chance to connect with people outside of my world who knew my struggle. They didn't care about my struggle. So it's like, Susan, you got to put your game face on. No one cares. And really, we're in a world, this sounds horrible, but I knew my bank account. No one else did. No one cared. So I would go on YouTube, watch Aaron Wittenstein, Derek Lipsy, watch Yes Master, anyone and everyone. And I was just like, okay, let me try a little bit of this. I'm like, okay, that definitely didn't work. I just got hung up on. And then I just developed a style where I became more relatable. I'm like, these are people like me. And I just I talk to sellers 100%. Like I talk to you guys. And oftentimes when I've gone back to my clients and said, why did you sign with me? I'm just curious. They said, you didn't sound like everybody else.
Yeah, and that's boom. You hit the point because you know why?
Why?
Because the thing is, salespeople are trained to be salespeople, and we're not fucking salespeople. We're not fucking salespeople.
I love
that's
that.
What we're not. So that's why salespeople don't get business because all they do is like, hi, my name is blah 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 from this company.
Yeah.
And do you want to buy or sell? No, obviously they're not gonna buy or sell a house if you're calling them with the same question.
Yeah.
They want to work with people who can relate with them and have the same story.
Yeah.
And they want, and that's the beauty about this business, right?
Yeah.
Because you literally walk into a person's house. They could be a different skin color than you. They could be a whole different religion, but you kind of like forget like that barrier is there.
Yes.
And you kind of just like relate. And that's the best part about our business, like culture, religion, foods, right?
Yes.
You connect with so many people, and then when you realize like you just work with people from 15 different countries,
Yeah.
and that's literally the best part of being in real estate. So Susan, now you said you named your team after your mom, right? I like that. So I actually what is the team name?
So the team is named after my mom.
Okay.
Her name is Marilyn, and the chief operating officer, his name is Bobby. He's my boyfriend.
Okay.
He's the co-team lead. He's also a real estate agent.
Awesome.
His dad's name is Richard.
Okay.
His dad passed away of cancer, prostate cancer.
Wow.
My mom passed away of brain cancer. So we melded the two and called the team Marilyn Richard team.
That's powerful. I like that.
And we donate 5% of our commission towards a charity of our client's choice.
Wow.
So we made our team more about serving. I'm not knocking, like most teams are named after the lead agent, right?
Oh, yeah.
But this is not about me. Like
No,
the team,
100%.
the collaboration of the team is about serving.
Wow.
And my mom was about service. Richard was about service. So we just decided we're going to change the focus of our team.
Yep.
It's not about me. So Marilyn Richard team, like so often I go to listing appointment, like, oh, hi, Marilyn. Like, no, that was my mom. But I'm trying to change the way people perceive real estate agents and real estate. We're about service. I'm about
We're going to be best friends. You know that?
I'm about extreme customer service. So Marilyn Richard team, and I know I could have named it the Clarke team, but I don't want the focus on me.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So my team name is the Team Elite, right?
Oh,
so
nice. Okay.
I believe in the same thing
Love
like you
it.
did. So, no disrespect to nobody who
Right.
has their team name. There's a lot of successful people
course.
with their leader's name. But personally, when I started my team, so I have right now 7 agents on my team.
Yes.
So when I started my team, I also wanted to build something where people could come and be part of something that was elite,
Yeah.
and that we would be able to share our story and our success, not just with us, but like people around the world,
course. Right.
And we're all about giving. We're all about helping people.
Yes.
It's not just about a transaction, because you can do a lot of deals.
Yes.
And Joanna knows this better than I. And I don't know if you watch our previous podcast.
I have.
So on one of the episodes, we Joanna and I mentioned we opened our first nonprofit.
That's
so
beautiful.
We're trying to help. We believe in people, just like the people that believe in us. We want to give the people the opportunity to just build a business or build that something, that opportunity, like just like your brother, he believed in you, right?
Yes.
When nobody else was there for you. So that's what we want to do for people that maybe they just need one to call,
That's so
and
true.
that's what we can change, and
I feel like this
Absolutely.
industry is just completely full of, and like you said, people need to start changing the perspective of how they see real estate in the whole industry, because it's all sells, and
Yes.
sells. But at the same time, we as the people, you gotta give them something to believe in, and something that it's like, this industry needs more humans, more humanity than just trained salespeople going forward.
So
like
true.
as a lender myself, and I'm with this tough guys all the time. Usually the only girl there, and they're like, I don't reject business for anyone. I want the money, and I'm thinking like, is that the instinct of me saying, well, no, I want it to be out of good faith. I want those 30 years of your loan to be the right finance for you, and if it's gonna take a hit, then I'm gonna take the hit, you know.
Of course.
And it's not about like selling you mortgage. I'm guiding you to this mortgage process, to the actual loan that makes sense for you. Not that I want to sell you this, and that. Especially as a lender, I feel like I don't consider myself the salesperson.
Right.
I consider the mortgage expert where I'm going to guide you.
I love that.
But a lot of people are so focused, like they need to make the production, the sales. And then that reflects to our borrowers, to our clients. And then what they want to do is run away from like people like like us.
Yeah.
When we're like, no, we got good intentions. We're here to help you.
It's because those people are not showing their best interest for the client. And
Absolutely.
That's what Joanna, Susan, yourself, and that's what we're doing. We're showing our best interest for our clients because, like sometimes, and I know you've probably done the same, where you walk into a listing appointment and, it's probably the best time to sell, but for them, it's not the best time to sell, and sometimes, and then there's other people who would be like, no, sell your house right now. And then they end up in the street homeless because they could, they have the money.
That's so true.
They got $500,000 for the house. They sold over asking, but they couldn't qualify for another because they didn't have any income, And so that's what we're trying to change when it comes to perspective in this whole business. Because there's a lot of people, like you said, that just have that mentality where it's just sales. But then there's us who we want to help people because, we come from like, hardships pretty much, And that's what builds us to be, helpful in our communities and help people achieve their dreams. But we're also making sure that they're not getting taken advantage of, and that's the best part
absolutely.
about it.
I mean, when people start focusing on the numbers, then they shouldn't get mad when their clients start focusing on the numbers. So then they start thinking about how to eliminate, how to cut costs. So I feel like very often now, like real estate and lenders, we're kind of entering a society where it's more commodity driven. People are about things rather than service. So when we stop becoming servants, then when we find ourselves in a dynamic where people stop seeing our value. I mean, how many times now, especially since the pandemic, have we talked about people, customer service taking a hit, right? So to me, it's always about extreme customer service. And sometimes serving someone doesn't mean transacting. It's like going in, triaging, figuring out what they need and how you can be an asset. Because I've even gone to listing appointments where I told someone, do not list your property. Actually, one of my clients, she became my first assistant. My client became my assistant because I went to her house. She was thinking about selling. And based on the conversation I had with her, I told her, don't sell. Like, you're not, based on everything you're saying and my experience, it's probably not a good time to sell. And she raved about me to her friends and family. I've gotten referrals from people who didn't become my clients. I went to listing appointments with them. They were so impressed with the fact that I didn't try to push them to sell that they referred people to me. It's just a no pressure policy. Like, if people don't want to sell, it's okay. I'm there to serve and help. I'm here to help people who sell, who want to sell, and be a service. I'm a real estate agent and a real estate expert, but I don't necessarily want to put people in a position where they feel like they're doing something they don't want to do. And I think that's why we have that mentality of being a sharks. So leading with my mom and the co-team lead's dad, when I think about it, what would my mother do? I always say, what would Marilyn do? What would my mom do in the situation? And my mom was about giving. So I'm just like, listen, give your information away, share your value. And if it doesn't turn into a sale, there's lots more waiting for you. We're not selling water.
Eventually they'll remember you when someone comes in and like makes them sell and they're like, no, you know what, this person's looking for a transaction. It happens. A lot of people are not ready for the mortgage and they're like, no one guys is because they know, like they ask me for my income, they already know I don't qualify and they don't give me the process. I'm like, no, let me sit you down, let me plan it all out for you, let me guide you. A year passes by quick and then next thing you're like,
true.
We're ready. I'm like, okay, let's go.
That is so true.
So you feel to this point you made the right choice of career from jumping in and out?
Yeah.
Or you still think like, you know what? I'm so good at this. Let me move on to something else.
No, I love real estate. I really, really do. I get up hopeful every day. Now, don't get me wrong. We all know this business, you have your grueling deals, but my passion's still real estate. I mean, ultimately, people have asked me to coach them. I'm thinking about doing coaching at some point, but my heart is into it still, and I'm still a baby. I mean, I've really just been doing this since 2018. So, but every day there's just new opportunities, and I just feel so blessed to be in a position where I'm, an able person that I can help people, that I have no plans. You never know what happens in life, but I have no plans of abandoning it. I'm so amazing. Passionate about it.
We're glad that you don't have any plans to abandon.
Are you more passionate about this than anything that you did?
Any and everything that I've done in the past. I mean, I used to be an English teacher, so one of my strengths, one of my gifts, and I went to school, I have my degree in English, anthropology, and history. I double majored and minored at Columbia. So I've done a lot of editing for high-profile people, and that's still one of my strengths. It's still one of my passions. So I enjoy doing that still, and it's helped me quite a bit in real estate, writing property descriptions and sometimes clients and attorneys have to call on me to ask me for some advice and writing. But I found a way to meld what I'm really good at. And one of my gifts is communication.
You have all the nice fancy words on the description of
yes.
on the MLS.
Yeah, she fancy. Oh, she fancy.
Yeah. So you're gonna give us a description for the YouTube site, right?
I'd be more than glad to.
So I just write 2-bedroom, 1-bath ranch. Come look at it. It's gonna sell. Call me today.
Even for the podcast, you can tell when I'm writing the caption or when he writes it, because we share the same. And I'm like, Louise, you forgot this. At least a little emoji in there or something. Yeah, and he's like, Susan Clarke today watches at 6. I'm like, no.
But we live in a society now, honestly, you don't necessarily need, as long as the content's rich, that's what people mostly care about. But I'm old school a little bit, and I feel like, being able to embellish what I write. Yeah. I've had people at open houses or showing say, how I describe something drew them to the house. Oh, really? Nice. Within reason. I don't want to be too elaborate with it, but I try to paint the house in the best light. But I enjoy writing. That's my passion. So I'm just weaving everything into real estate, and I plan on starting my own not-for-profit organization, and kind of everything that real estate doesn't fulfill that I'm still passionate about. I'm just gonna meld it into my not-for-profit organization.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, and listen, and you know what? The best part about it is you have the teaching skills, right? Because you were a teacher, so that's like the best part about it. Yeah. And then you said you were proficient in English, so that's very, that's another thing that that's an advantage over me right there, right? But especially if you're able to put a nonprofit, and then imagine how many other agents are probably in a worse scenario than us now, and that might need that help, and they could probably blow up their business just from taking 10 tips from you.
You should definitely consider that coaching. I will go and I'll say, hey, I'm your first student here.
Yeah, it's very exciting to be able to have something to share with other agents. I'm very much about helping other agents grow their business. So when I get to a point, I still feel, even though there's something in my mind that still says I'm still new, right? Like I want to stay humble. So I'm like, I'm still a fairly new agent. I've had a lot of success.
All of us should have, even if we have 10 years in the business, 12 years in the business, we should always have that student mindset. Yeah. We should never think we already learned it all or we already. When I see people that already been in the business for 10 and they're like, well, I've been in the business and I know this. But I'm like, well, what happened to your student mindset? Because you got to constantly be a student of the game. You can't just go say, okay, I know it all because I've been doing things. Change, people change, the way we market ourselves change. So true. Social media changes, everything
technology changes too.
That's
look, I know people out there that technology literally killed their business. Like there were people who were elder people that I know that were in the business probably doing 100 deals a year.
Sending faxes.
Exactly.
Faxes. I'm like,
what? Where can I send my offer? Oh, fax it to my office. I'm like, I don't even know how to use a fax machine. I don't even have a fax machine myself. So then at the end of the day, those are the people that go from having 100 deals to not even closing one, and technology pretty much took them over, and Joanna on her side in the lending guidelines change all the time. They change every month. So imagine if you have that mindset where you just like, oh yeah, I've been doing it for so long that instead of helping people, you're kind of screwing them over because you don't have that mindset where you're learning every day.
That's so true.
So I love that you say I'm new, and even though it's 2018, a lot of people will probably start it 2020 and say, well, no, I'm very experienced with my 2 years.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So I think we always, and hopefully, 10 years down the line, you can still say, I'm still new at this. Because, we need to remain as students in this game in order for us to keep on evolving.
And one of the things for me that's always important, and I don't know that this will change, but I also feel like in coaching, even with my team, one of the things my team knows about me, I'm a foot soldier. I'm in the streets with them, I hit the pavement with them. We're out there together. I go and I close appointments. I cold call. They cold call. I always want to lead the charge from the front. 100%. I want to be that general that's always in the front. If somebody's going to get taken down first, it's going to be me before my team. Even so in coaching, I feel like that's important. I'll always remain getting listings out there in the field because I want to be able to keep my negotiation skills on point. And I'll always be brand new. To me, I'm learning every day, so I'm always a student.
That's another thing she did say that day. She was like, I will outwork anyone in this room and actually get you mad. You got me mad. I'm like, all right. I gotta go.
I gotta get out of this meeting. I gotta go make some calls. Yeah, I want people to see me and think that wow, I was in an abusive relationship. I would tell you a whole litany of things that I've been through, except they'd probably censor it and keep people from watching it.
We wouldn't censor it. Trust me, we want people to know because look, imagine there's one real estate agent or a lender, or maybe not in our industry, but there's one person behind these cameras watching you, and then they say, if Marilyn could do it, I said Marilyn.
That's okay. I've been called worse.
So at least it was your mom. But
right.
if Susan could do it, I can too, you know, and that's the most important thing about it. Like, that's why we're doing these on podcasts, because we're you know, we're able to share our stories, but we're also able to change at least one person's life, and that's all that matters, you know, because you know, and a lot of people in this business, like, they just, like we said earlier, it's all about the transaction, and it's not changing people's life.
That's right.
And that's something that just from you sitting here, you're motivating me to go out there.
I know.
And now you're gonna make me overwork you, so we're gonna see what happens.
And to anyone and I just want to speak to anyone who's watching this now, I'm gonna tell you directly, I've had everything happen to me that could possibly happen to them. Physically abused, verbally abused, molested, raped, abandoned by my dad. And here I am sitting here with a smile on my face. I don't want you looking at me and saying, if she can do it, I can do it. I want you to be like, if she can do it, why am I not doing it? Mm-hmm. Like, look at me and get mad. Like, I'm outworking you. You know, be relentless in your ability to figure out what's wrong, why it's wrong, and fix it. Like, get to work. I'm outworking you, and I don't care what you're going through. I can check it off, and I'm ahead of you. Get mad, because there's nothing special about me. So I just want you to be encouraged by that.
Let's go.
Love it. And that wraps up our episode 4. That was an amazing way to end it. Is there another touch of advice you would give to the audience that are watching us? Because like he mentioned, you might be the audience. You might be the one for the audience watching saying, you know what? Why am I not doing it? You know? So is there another piece of advice you would give them to finalize our season 4? By far one of my favorites. Again, thank you so much for being here, for being the first woman here too.
Thank you.
You're representing. We're taking over.
Okay, what's up? No, so I want to tell anyone who's watching, one of the things I tell you to do is find yourself people who are better than you in the business and connect yourself with them. And by that, I mean, I talked about service before. Be a servant. So connect with someone. Don't call and just ask them to go to lunch. What are you good at that they're not? Where are the gaps in their business? Find someone who's better at it and make this mutualism, exchange something for it. I did it in my business several times, and I found some remarkable coaches who I provided the service. I'm great at writing. I'm great at calling, and I exchange services with people who are better in the industry at what I do, and they've helped me level up, and I've helped them level up. Everyone can pay for their own lunch. Find what you're good at, exchange it with somebody else who's better at something else, and it will catapult your business. And when you don't have something, you know, be willing to pay. Sometimes when you do have it, pay for it. It's okay. It'll help you level up. And some of the things I've learned have been priceless. There's no dollar amount I can put in the level of success I've had. So find people who are better at doing what you want to do and connect with them.
Let's go.
I love it.
Susan, where can our followers follow you? Where can they find you? Where can they contact you? Or where can they come work with you?
So if you want to reach out to me, you can definitely give me a call, or you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is @IvyLeagueAgent. So not the Ivy League agent, somebody else has it, but @IvyLeagueAgent. You
Let
can
me
also
see who I tag real quick.
you can find me at @IvyLeagueAgent, and I'll give you my number. It's, you know, I'm reachable, 347-393-5374. Call me, connect with me. You know, this business is small. We're all trying to get ahead together, and I'm here to provide support and serve.
Awesome. So, Joanna, end the episode for us today, since it's a powerful woman episode.
Actually, it's so powerful. We're going to have you end it, Susan. You got to end this. So thank you so much. That's all I have to say, but we're going to have her end this season. This episode.
So what I want to tell you guys, it's, you know, this business is not easy, but it's doable. Just make a decision that you're not going to give up. Make a decision that it's your business or death. You know, don't be outworked. And it starts with every day, just the discipline, getting up and making that commitment to show up. I don't care what it's for. Get up and show up. That's all you got to do, and the universe will repay you. Get up and give it your all, and, you know, and make your business the best. You know, go hard or go home.
There you get it.
Get up and show up and come on the next episode.
If this doesn't wake you up, we don't know what to tell you.
For real.
Thank you guys so much.
If someone isn't motivated from this episode, I'm going to quit.
There's nothing that
We're going for a run right now. You guys don't know. We're about to go for a run now.
With a storm right there.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for watching episode 4 from season 2, and we hope to see you on the next one.